In our last episode, we started to consider how God uses suffering and trials in your life, your Christian life, to grow you more like Jesus. And we thought about faith, how your trust in God can grow through hard times to be more like Him. Today we'll think about how God uses sufferings and trials to grow your love for God and your love for others, to be more like Jesus as well. But first, what is love? It might seem fairly obvious, but we use the word love in different ways. I can say, I love chocolate, which I do, dark chocolate in particular. I can say, I love my wife, which I do. However, my love for my wife is different to my love for dark chocolate. So what is love? Sometimes people use the word love to express strong feelings of attraction or affection. I really, really like that person. What does the Bible say about love? Well, God's view of love is a lot more robust, a lot more solid than simply pleasant feelings towards another person. God's love, and the love He wants you to grow in, is other person centered. It's when you do good for others unconditionally, when you seek their best, whether you feel like it or not, and whether they deserve it or not. So, how do sufferings and trials help you to grow in this kind of love? Well, it starts with God's love for you. God's love for you is displayed in the suffering and trial He went through for your sake. When my second son was just a newborn, he had kidney failure. He was fighting for his life. It was a great trial for us as parents, and in my love for him, I would have been prepared to suffer an operation, to go through the trial of losing a kidney for his good. When you love someone, you are prepared to suffer for them. This is what God did. He suffered greatly in Jesus because He loves you. He was prepared to suffer misunderstanding and hostility, rejection and shame, humiliation and torture, even death for your sake. However, it is not as if God did this because He found you extraordinarily attractive. It's the opposite. As human beings, we don't evoke in God warm, fuzzy feelings of cuteness like my son at 10 days old. No. Rather, Jesus died for us when we were sinners, rebels, hostile in mind and behavior towards Him. The extent of the trial He went through to forgive you shows you the extent of His unconditional love for you. So through God's great suffering, you learn of God's great love. And as you appreciate His love, you learn what it is to love others more and more. You see, trials and suffering can easily make you become very self-focused. We saw that in Australia when the pandemic broke out. Lots of people became very self-interested, buying up all the toilet paper and all basic necessities. So we need God's help to love like He does in suffering and trials. Here are a few examples. As a parent, you may have a child who is ungrateful towards you and who has said hurtful words about you. It can be hard to feel love towards them. It's like a trial. So as a parent, you can learn greatly what God's unconditional love is like in regards to your child. It is challenging. You might have a colleague at work who never ceases to give you grief and talk behind your back. It's very hard to love them. This form of suffering teaches you again what God's love is really like as you seek to do good to them despite how you might feel. You might have someone who persecutes you as a Christian simply for what you believe. They mock you, oppose you, and want to see you go down. Again, it is very unlikely that you will have warm, pleasant feelings towards them. You might want to bring fire down from heaven to see them shrivel up. Yet God can teach you through that trial how to love even an enemy and pray for their good. A pandemic like what we are living through can teach you to love. You learn to forego your freedoms for the sake of others. You won't stand on your rights and say, I want to go to the beach even though it's closed. You might decide to call others who are lonely, even though speaking on the phone is not your preferred way of communicating. You might persevere in virtual Zoom groups. You don't particularly like being stuck on a computer screen. You find it a bit annoying, but you'll do it because you want to encourage others at this particular time. You know, even Jesus, while He was dying on the cross in great pain and suffering, was still loving others as He organized one of His disciples to care for his mother for the future. So God can use trials and sufferings in your life to help you to appreciate His love for you and to help you to be more like Jesus. You know, in the new creation, you will love like God perfectly. It will come naturally to you and to me, and we will do this with no more trials or suffering at all. But in the meantime, in this broken world, when a trial comes your way, ask God to help you to know His love better, and ask Him to help you to love like He does. You can't do this in your own strength. I certainly can't. We need the help of His Spirit. Well, thanks for listening. In the next episode, we'll think about how trials grow our hope to be more like Jesus. Catch you next time. Bye.